the origin of Gully Labs is a classic anti-playbook case study, and why I am saying this is because first, instead of starting with the product, they started with a manifesto and an Instagram page that explained mission and vision of the company and the product. Second, instead of organic growth through online ads, they grew through an online hate Twitter thread and a viral reel. And third, instead of importing their products from China or Vietnam, which are hub of shoe manufacturers, they built their own manufacturing in a garage in Noida. Also, I'm sure that 90% of you would have discovered this brand through Instagram feed. Let me know in comments if I am right here. In this video, I'm going to share you how all this happened. Also, just don't forget to press the subscribe button because we are on a mission to make you 1% smarter from yesterday through each and every video we upload on this channel. So friends, the brand Gully Lab is founded by Arjun Singh, who was an investment banker with JP Morgan in Australia. Arjun returned to India during the pandemic, and then he noticed that while the sneaker culture in India was exploding, with the current market size being more than $3 billion US, there was no aspirational homegrown brand in sneaker industry in India. So Indians just didn't think of Indian products as cool enough like the international brands Nike or Adidas or Onitsuka. He didn't start Gully Labs with a shoe or any product. He started this as an Instagram page and a website which mentioned the mission statement and vision of the product which he was trying to build. He wanted to build a brand that exports the Indian cool the way Nike exports the American culture or Adidas exports the German engineering to everywhere around the world. He wanted to sell modern Indian aesthetic sneakers that look cool in New York or London but have an Indian soul. Then he invited people who resonated with the idea of the product to a WhatsApp group, and he was able to form a community of around 50 to 100 people who joined the group just to get the daily updates from a company which have no product and no funding at all. Isn't that really crazy? He shared a deal in a WhatsApp group that you pay 1,000 rupees now to reserve a sneaker that would be delivered months later with no specific delivery date promised. And friends, this is how he founded his co-founder Animesh. He is the current CEO of the company. Now, both of them, Arjun and Animesh, couldn't find manufacturers willing to make small batches of their initial prototypes. And in spite everyone telling them to not to get into manufacturing business and get the shoe imported from China or Vietnam as everyone else do, they built a small manufacturing unit in a garage in Noida to solve this problem for themselves and to maintain control over quality and speed. I will let you know how this was the best decision that they made later in this video. The initial manufacturing team consisted of an auntie who ran a small bespoke studio and 2 karigars. They started out with 1 model, 5 colors, and initially made 20 to 50 pairs monthly. And as I told, they chose not to outsource the manufacturing because as a startup they need to experiment faster and build products quickly with a control over quality. This was something which was inspired by Elon Musk. To build fast, you need the supply chain to be interconnected and very near to you so that you can make and spend time with your manufacturing team whenever required. Hence, they decided to scale the manufacturing in Noida itself instead of some other place far in the world like China or Vietnam. Then friends, something really crazy happened. In December 2023, a reel comparing Jordan alternatives, which is a Nike brand, went viral, getting 7 million views. Gully Labs was listed as one of the alternatives in this reel. This exposure led them to being seen, and people started talking about the cool Indian sneaker brand everywhere. That led to a thread on Twitter where a user bashed the brand, calling them lazy or a cheap copy of Adidas. That hate thread blew up and got 500k views and a massive attention. Then Arjun contacted the person who have written that hate thread and offered him the Gully Lab shoes at a discounted price. And then guess what? Ironically, the same person who wrote the hate thread tweeted again himself, admitting they were actually some of the best shoes he have used. Crazy. Post this, they got sold out within few days because of all the controversy and viral attention the brand was getting. This forced them to pause, regroup, and relaunch in March. This time, everything, marketing, factory, supply chain, brought to handle the scale. This Twitter and Reel thing helped them in building their next marketing strategy. They didn't start with a marketing budget. As I told you before, they started with a mission statement to make India cool for everyone. It wasn't about selling a shoe. It was about building a content-first brand where product served the story. Then what? Arjun and Ramesh started their content creation journey. Arjun and Ramesh wrote the scripts, shot the videos themselves. Instead of hiring an agency or external influencer collaboration, they realized that every story is best done by the brand themselves to maintain the authenticity. Their thesis was that the future of commerce isn't on Amazon or Flipkart. They believe that website plus an Instagram page will be the next generation of marketplaces. This relentless focus on organic content meant that 90% of their customers discovered the brand through Instagram. High quality content led to loyal followers, which drastically lowered their customer acquisition cost and made their D2C model viable. Then on the branding side, while naming the sneakers, they abandoned the westernized naming conventions like Midnight Blue, Cosmic Orange, and all that stuff, right? Instead, using a naming strategy with an element of Indian things like Chatai Yellow, named after traditional mats, Patang Red, named after kites. The idea was that every Indian immediately gets the shade imagined from the name without needing to see the photo. It turned a color into a shared cultural memory among each one of us. They built products and stories around small communities, festivals like one for paragliders, one for rappers, one for bikers, one for skateboarders. For their hockey collection, they didn't just use generic designs, they integrated the Fulkari embroidery to honor the Punjab's deep connection to the sport. They partnered with the cult brands like Royal Enfield to launch the Buzz Hunter sneaker, borrowing authority and cool from the established players. They turned their local manufacturing and experimenting speed into a flex. How? When they wanted to launch a Kerala-inspired shoe for Onam, they didn't need months because their supply chain was interconnected and very close to each other. So they went from idea to finished Nadu shoes in just 7 days. They brand themselves as a manufacturing company, not just a label company which imports shoes and have no control over their quality. Owning their end-to-end facility in Noida allows them to react to trends instantly, something giants like Nike cannot even imagine to do. A giant like Nike takes 12 months to change a design because their supply chain is very rigid. But for Gully Labs, the designer sits 10 feet away from manufacturing floor. They can prototype on Monday and have a finished shoe by the weekend. They currently employ 50 skilled karigars with a capacity to produce 8,000 sneakers a month. And despite of being homegrown, 1 in 4 shoes is sold outside India, with London being one of their top 10 markets. They have raised 8.7 crore in seed funding and have a 30 crore projected revenue for financial year 26 and targeting 100 crore for the next financial year. Gully Labs didn't just made a shoe. They created a media machine that monetized through footwear. By controlling the conversation through content and creation through factory, they built a brand that is locally rooted but globally scalable. Like this video if you find this insightful and let us know in comments what you have learned in this video today.